Has the crypto bull market ended? Has October and altcoin season for 2025 been cancelled? Should you be selling? Or should you be buying into these top 5 meme coins with 100x potential in advance of a potential last gasp altcoin season and euphoria stage? My name is the Suppoman, your superhero of 100 to 1000x gems. And in the last couple of weeks, we have seen one of the most cataclysmic bloodbaths. We have seen COVID 2020 levels of dumpage, where we have seen really hyped assets like Asta lose 70% of their value almost overnight. And we have potentially seen a Bitcoin top based on information I showed you. Now, does that mean that Bitcoin has topped for this market cycle? Does this mean there is going to be no euphoria stage for altcoins and Bitcoin as it happens? Or is this just a great big bear trap to actually fool you into thinking that we are going to be seeing only blood from now on, when actually a huge pump is coming at the end of the quarter? That's what we're going to be discussing in today's video, live here on the Suppoman channel. If you love content like this, make sure you smash a like on this video, and if you haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe. I have been here 8 years, so I have got one of the best intuitions of the market that you will see, and I have been right time and time again, so make sure that you watch on. Now, we are in a very turbulent situation right now. We are seeing, like, Asta a week ago was $2.40, and SPX was approaching $2. We were seeing a lot of these DeFi cryptocurrencies exploding. We were seeing them exploding into October. And now we have got a very serious situation where a lot of cryptocurrencies have gone down. And now we have got Bitcoin at 110,000, where in one of my last live streams, it was 125,000. Now, there has been all sorts of chaos. It's been incredibly hectic. And I have been careful not to bring you any kind of, kind of clickbaity kind of videos. Like right now, if you're watching YouTube, what you will see is a lot of clickbait. People saying bull market's over, a little bit like the title here, where people are saying bull market's over, sell now. There was never that. The whole 4-cycle theory is crap. Dumping coming, etc., etc. Right. So there's been a lot of chaos. Bitcoin has retraced significantly. October has not happened. Where we are right now is we are having one of the worst Octobers presently. Now, we are nearly through October, so there's very little time for this to be salvaged. But what we can see is there's only been 2 times in the past, and in those times, they were actual bear markets. So 2013 was a bull market, 2017 was a bull market, and then the immediate years after are always the worst. And so 2014 and 2018 were bad Octobers, but they've been the only bad Octobers ever until now. It just doesn't make sense. We are in a post-halving year. This has never happened before. It's unprecedented to see such a loss when in 2021 we had a plus 40%. In 2017 we had a near plus 50%. So this is one of the halving years is really not worked. So it just goes to show you that, this is a very different market to what we had all the way back here and here. What we had back then was we had a spot market. Now what we have got is we have got a leverage trading market. And that has been what's been responsible for what's happened lately. Okay, so we have got news about these massive longs and shorts that are being set by massive whales, insider traders, apparently. Okay, so what we had on, I believe this was the 18th, so 2 days ago, a wallet known as Trump Insider just opened a $230 million long. His win rate is 100% so far, and this is the same person that a day later actually, yeah, a day later, Trump insider shorted Bitcoin before the flash crash and just opened a new short. Right, so we are having all sorts of, I would say, mixed signals about what's going on. But I guess whether this is true or not, this is all alluding to the fact that we are now living in a very leveraged market. And ever since Donald Trump has come in, this may have given cause for insiders to be shorting and longing based on what they know is going to be happening when all of us don't know. Okay, so the market is very heavily manipulated by longing and shorting and leverage trading, not spot trading. But of course, this has wider repercussions. So there has been a suicide. I shouldn't probably say a word, but there has been someone who has ended things because of the market crash that occurred in the last week and a half. Okay, he lost 30 million in the crash. Right, his last trade was on Asta. Right, so this is giving you a sign, and this is just one horror story of many that have actually occurred in the last week and a half, right? So we are seeing really dark times right now. Now, what does dark not exist without? Light, okay? So, I don't know, the validity. I'm assuming that this is true. I don't know the validity of this story, right? But what is very apparent is there is a lot of bearishness right now. It is very dark, and it's typically at its darkest that the light begins to show. Now, that's not to say this is definitely a big fake out. There is always potential, because I have been slightly scared off myself in one of my last videos. Okay, so what I said in one of my last videos is that typically 300 days, 390 days, 360 to 390 days after the sideways action that occurs after the halving, there is the market top. Okay, so back in 2017, I probably need to go back further than this, but back in 2017, we saw that from the sideways action through to the top was 370 days. In 2021, we saw that the sideways action to the market top was 393/395 days, right? And then just the other day, I brought you this information, which is that 390 days, just like in the last cycle, 390, oh, it's gone a bit over there. 395 days after, we saw $125,000 for Bitcoin, right? So I said at the time that the market, the Bitcoin price, is theoretically topping today. Right? Now, I said at the time that I don't believe that we have yet made out the Q4 pump, right? Because even if this was the top for Bitcoin, then there is always, and 3 to 4 weeks later, the top for altcoins, which we haven't yet had, right? So my theory at the time was, based on historical data, we are in the period where Bitcoin typically tops out. Right, and nearly to the exact day it happened. 125k, it did go down to 100, probably lower in some exchanges, down to 103,000. Right, now this shows all the appearance of the end of the bull market. Right, if I was to be completely emotionless about everything, this would explain that the top of the market has occurred. Having said that, there has not been a euphoria season. Not only for Bitcoin, there's not been a euphoria season, but there has not been any kind of euphoria season for altcoins, right? In fact, it's a very, very different story for altcoins than we have ever seen. So as far as alt season is concerned, we are nowhere near an altcoin season now. Basically, so much money has been rinsed out of coins in the top 100 that now Bitcoin is not one of the worst performers. Hence why altcoin season, we are now further than ever. And if you were looking completely data driven, you would assume that we had an altcoin season here, like we had here, but we didn't. This was the last real altcoin season. This wasn't. This was just altcoins outperforming Bitcoin, which had only done a like 4% rise. So it was very easy to beat Bitcoin. So this wasn't even true. So we haven't had an altcoin season. We haven't had the altcoin season, basically the one that always ends the bull market, definitively. Right? What we have had is we have seen a Bitcoin topping. Whether that is the ultimate top or whether that's just a local top remains to be seen. But my personal thoughts is that because of what is happening in the macro market, with Trump, with tariffs, with the China tariffs, with now India tariffs, with the Fed due to be talking about crypto in the next couple of days, is that this is just a perfect playground to be able to liquidate a lot of the longs and shorts. And that's really what we have seen. The liquidation that occurred in the last 2 weeks has been record breaking. Seeing shorts liquidated, seeing longs liquidated, it's just been a toing and froing, where it's just happening. It's just 1 minute is long, 1 minute is short, and it's just one of those perfect playground times. Particularly because a lot of the market was expecting that in October we would be seeing, the beginning of euphoria. We would be seeing the beginning of up only, and that hasn't happened, right? But having said that, because it hasn't happened, we haven't had anywhere near these kinds of gains for a long, long time. If you have a look through this, there's very, very few times that you see above 40%. There's none. There's this one near that one, hardly any. And these were back in 2024, before the halving. So none of this really is making any feasible sense that we have hit any kind of market top. And so that says to me one of two things. And number one, it says to me that on a reasonable scenario, that we have not had a Bitcoin top, an altcoin top, and that is going to be potentially pushed into the beginning of 2026. So we have a longer cycle. The other thing it tells me, which I think is potentially becoming more and more true, but is yet to be validated, is that there are no more market tops, market bottoms, long bear markets, medium-term bull markets. I don't believe that that necessarily is going to be moving forward what happens with crypto. The reason being is because of ETFs and institutional adoption. They have changed the game. They've legitimized the space somewhat. So what that tells me is we are just going to have bull periods, bear periods, bull periods, bear periods, and it's just going to be an ebbing and flowing. Something that I have been constantly talking about and has come true. We have these very savage bear periods, and then we have these incredible and prosperous bull periods. And they just keep on going in perpetuity, right? And we don't have a market euphoria top and then Bitcoin goes down to 30K or whatever. Bitcoin goes down to 50K, who knows? We don't have that. And I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. But what I can tell you is that if Bitcoin is going to be ebbing and flowing, whereas 1 month good, 1 month bad, 1 month good, etc., is that there's a short span for altcoins to do well in those periods, okay? And they can do extremely well, and we have seen that in the past. This period, February 2024, was one of the best periods ever. This was where I scored some of my biggest ever multipliers. Where I scored, the likes of Dancing Baby, Pom, Suppoman, Trump. A lot of these were scored during 2024. So when you do have those good times, you can very, very easily make you can make so much money, a ridiculous amount of money. So, I just think that that's it, right? I think that is it. So my personal belief is that from now on, I believe that we are going to really just have, bull and bear periods, okay? And on the assumption of an actual big market, of catastrophic news like a recession, then we will see massive dumps. Dumps that make the dump in the last 2 weeks look amateur, right? But saving that for the future, I do believe that crypto is moving into a stock market type situation where it's just going to be up and down, depending on news, right? They're not going to be euphoria stages necessarily. But both theories are up in the air right now, okay? We don't know. And really, we are right in the thick of quarter 4, all right? So this is where it can be invalidated. And in my personal opinion, I am selling nothing. I have sold some profits every now and again, when I get an incredible multiplier, but I just take a few bits of profits off the table. No big liquidations. I'm not liquidating into USDC or USDT at this point because I believe that would be a grave mistake because we have not had the actual confirmation that quarter 4 or end of 2025, beginning of 2026 is going to host a market top or not. We don't know that. And if we miss it, then we miss out on all that heavenly glory. So until we actually have some proof of where things are going, I am just sitting tight on what I really love and what makes sense, what are new narratives that have the potential to really inspire and really excite and really hype up the new retail market, the retail market that are coming in. They want to make life-changing money, right? So I am sitting on the coins that, in my opinion, are likely to make incredibly life-changing money. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about right now. Okay, so the first cryptocurrency is dowge. Now, why I'm extremely excited about dowge is because there is an update coming to dowge, right? It's almost like a rebranding without actually being a rebranding. Like, they're not going to be changing the name, they're not going to be changing the ticker, but they are going to be having a more fresh look, and it's going to be a completely, it's going to be a much more commercially appealing value proposition than was there before. Okay, it's going to be a much more exciting cryptocurrency. So if I just show you its biggest competitor, which is SPX 6900, which has gone up to $2 billion. $2 billion. This has been the kind of placeholder website for the past 2 years. Like, nothing has changed. Like, this is, if something doesn't change, it just gets boring to hold. You're really relying upon the greater fool theory not selling their bags, okay? So what you're having right now in SPX 6900 is a lot of believers in a brand that, in my opinion, is beginning to fade, okay? It's beginning to fade. But it has opened up the blueprint of what people want, which is a movement that stands for something, a movement that has a significance on the broader society. That's what SPX introduced. Now, these guys have not been innovative. They don't even have their own Twitter. They don't really even exist other than in the community. And whilst many ways may say, well, that's the whole point of it. No, you can't have a community if you don't have people that are upholding the movement. And you need a central figure behind the movement. And right now, that's only Murad. He says the same thing, and the website doesn't change, right? With dowge, this is changing. This is going to become more than what it is right now, okay? And this is just a little indication of what's to come. A little indication. This is DJI 6930. And as you can see, this has all the appearance of a movement. And this is cutting through society's problems of having a monopoly of 1% wealth that control not only the money, not only society, not only all the problems in society, but also a machine that continues to make money on the inside. This is an indication of what DJI 6930 is looking to destroy. And that is to put power in the hands of those that are not insiders, and to put power into the people that want to break that system and want to restore the world back to a sense of normal society, where people love each other anymore, where people love each other still, where people embrace each other and inviting, and they're not spreading hate and racial abuse, gender-based abuse, wokeism. Dowge is cutting through that and restoring society back to where it should be. And these graphics of what has happened, the system that exists right now, this is what DJI 6930 is looking to destroy and make implode, right? And so the people who get behind this belief system, this movement, are going to be the ones that ultimately win. And this is why this narrative will do insanely well when the money returns, when the pump season returns. Okay, and this is just a little teaser of what's going to be happening with DJI 6930 that you can see here. New website coming soon. All right, so this is happening. It's happening. It's happening, people. And this is going to be an absolute destroyer of SPX 6900. I mean, look already at the difference. Like, this is a real movement, not this. This is just parody. This is serious, right? So to me, dowge, this one is going to do insanely well. But right now, people are afraid to buy. Only in the last month, this went back up to 30 million. Now, this would have gone higher, but Joe Parry's had his video removed from YouTube. He made a video about dowge. It was removed from YouTube very, very swiftly. But that just gives you an indication that Joe Parry's and Joe Parry's has 500,000 subscribers. You've got me, you've got Win All Day, you've got Crypto Queen Amy, you've got 100x Gems, you've got Stan Crypto. I've seen him do a video on dowge. So you've got a lot of people that are going to be talking about dowge. It's going to have a lot of coverage and a lot of believers. And this has really stood the test of time. This has been strong AF. This has been so strong. And all it needed was a continuation in October, and this would be where it was already. This would be over 80 million market cap, right? This would have gotten over that had the bull momentum kept going, but it didn't, right? But it gives you an indication right now it's still so strong. 13 million market cap. It's still very, very strong. Most cryptocurrencies that came out around about the same time are dead now. So this is strong, and they continue innovating. And as a result of these innovations, there are going to be listings, there's going to be more interest, etc. Next up, we have got Meow, which to me, I am still to this day extremely surprised that this is not all the way up here now. We're not up here in this zone here, like 10 million area. We are seeing exchanges in Mixi, Binance, Huobi, OKX. They're all posting cat content, right? Cats, they are gearing up for a cat cycle. They are promoting cats, right? And that's an indication that something like KitAcoin, which actually has some form of origin story. KitAcoin was the first ever cat coin released at the same time as Dogecoin, which went on to be a $100 billion market cap. So purely on its longevity, the length of time it's been out, and KitAcoin came out the same month. And this was not at the time able to capitalize on any form of bullishness because there was no such thing as meme season, meme super cycles, etc. So it's only going to be a matter of time before Meow does go into the stratosphere. But you just have to wait. You have to wait for that bullish momentum. You have to wait for the kind of perfect culmination of all kind of events. New retail coming into the market. A kind of prolonged altcoin season. A season that was like this. It will come back. It will happen. There's absolutely no doubt about the fact it will happen. The only question is, when will it happen? But there is no doubt about the fact this will happen again, because it's happened in the past and it will happen in the future. It's happened multiple times in the past, no matter what the day-to-day is. Like today is one of those day-to-day things. Like we are reflecting on what's happened in the last week, but in the wider scheme of things, you don't really remember. Like I can't remember any of what happened here. I can't remember them. And it'll be the same about this period here. You won't remember what happened. You'll just, there's a recency bias that happens in crypto. And the most recent sentiment dictates what you do. And the most recent sentiment is people are selling, right? So therefore, people aren't buying. So right now, I'm not expecting there to be 100x right now as a result of this video. I'm not expecting that to happen. But what I am expecting is that these cryptocurrencies are kept top of mind. They maintain relevance. They maintain being fresh until the point that the money does come in, and in which case they finally have their season. So right now, I'm not expecting, for Meow to necessarily go to 10 million right now. But what I am expecting is that this is going to slowly brew, until we hit the point that the market just goes absolutely nuts, right? So we don't know when that's going to happen. And so I haven't sold any Kate, no dowge at all at this point. Another one is As Liquid. Now, something that has definitely been reflected in the most recent events is that DeFi has become a very prevalent force. Hyperliquid, we are seeing lots of big users going to Hyperliquid. We saw some big users going to Asta as well. And that they are perpetual exchanges. They are decentralized perpetual exchanges that enable people to do this kind of longing and shorting. And when I first saw As Liquid, because As Liquid, if you don't already know, is basically an amalgamation of Asta and Hyperliquid, but formed cleverly to make a very humorous brand. Okay, so what you've got is you've got the Asta logo mixed with the Hyperliquid logo, and then this is what you get. An absolutely perfect logo that combines both brands, like in literally the most clever way. Now, these guys are also a perpetual exchange. So, so these guys are, in essence, the same kind of platform as we see with Hyperliquid and Asta. And as a result of that, this one has a lot of longevity in it because it's got that meme DeFi appeal. It's not just a DeFi coin where DeFi coins are boring. I'm sure that most of you do not care for DeFi at all. It's not like it was in 2021 where you had, these ridiculous APRs, fantastic high, yield farming opportunities. They don't exist anymore. Really, what exists is just an ability to manipulate the market with Hyperliquid and Asta, right? So no one gives a shit about DeFi if you're not an insider, if you're not playing with huge buckets of money. And so what you need, therefore, is something that makes it commercially appealing, and that is the meme angle. So the meme angle comes in the branding, in the naming, in the marketing, but ultimately the use case and the utility is the perpetual exchange. So to me, I think this is a very strong brand, well under 1 million at this point, and this one has been as high as 1.8 million. All right, so this one has just been brewing. Now, obviously, with Asta going down, this one went down massively as well. But there is going to be a time when those come back, but they're still not going to be appealing. And then this is going to, therefore, be a very, very, very appealing, buy for retail investors. Next, at this point, one of the best NFT collections, NFT brands that have come out since Pengu is Pandu Pandas. Now, these guys are, these guys have been marketing amazingly. What I saw recently on their Twitter is that the most famous person that's seen Pandu Pandas is Elon Musk. And Grok confirmed, and Grok is typically right. There is a bit of a room for error with regards to AI, but for the most part, they're right, okay? But it's not just about that. I mean, these guys are marketing amazingly. Their cartoons are brilliant. They are very much following the same blueprint as Pudgy Penguins. And so these guys, they're very strong. Very, very strong. And they have selected a breed of animal that is not got any, that has no brand in cryptocurrency. Like, Pudgy Penguins is doing very well because there is no other penguin brand in cryptocurrency. Not yet. But Pandu Pandas, there's never been a panda-based brand. There's never been a panda-based NFT collection. Until now. And these guys have been extremely clever with their execution of the value proposition. Extremely clever. You know, they have created interactive NFTs, AI interactive NFTs, which in this day and age is what works. You know, Pandu have not innovated in this way. You know, Pengu and SPX are kept alive by having had critical mass. Critical mass means that there's such a breadth of investors that it's almost in a self-marketing phase. You know, there's so many community members that are branching out all over social media and getting in places. That's how it works, right? But you've got pandas and you have got dowge that are both at this point pre-critical mass. So they haven't got anywhere near, you know, the kind of levels of money flow going into them. But that execution absolutely obliterates that of the elite meta plays right now. So I really love this, and I think it's exceptional. The next one I think is a screaming buy, potentially, is Stream Season. The reason I say that is because this is actually created by Alex Becker, right? Now, he has said that he's going to be creating a meme coin that he is not going to be part of himself, but he is going to be pumping anyway, etc., etc., right? So he has already expressed that he is creating his own batch of coins. So instead of necessarily talking about, you know, Destra and Pinlink and all these coins he's always talking about, the same old coins, right? Which he has relied upon till now. And going into the next phase, when he's going to be making a lot of streams, potentially on Pump.Fun, but certainly making videos on YouTube, which he was beginning to do at the beginning of October. As the beginning of October started, there was a real bullish sentiment, and he was like, I'm going to be making a video every week. Now, when you make a video every week and you talk about the same coins, people are going to get bored. So he's going to have to talk about new content. And all of the other coins he has spoken about are in the tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions. Like Destra's like well into the hundreds of millions. Pinlink, you know, not the same level, but getting there, right? Whereas something like Stream Season, this is under $1 million market cap. Now, I'm not saying he is going to talk about it, but what I am saying is it only takes one video mention. It only takes Pump.Fun, and they have been talking about adding utility to the Pump.Fun streams, right? So all it takes is a perfect kind of reality where everything kind of comes at once, right? So Pump.Fun creates utility. Alex Becker has a reason to talk about Stream Season. Stream Season is under $1 million market cap, where all the other coins he talks about are in the tens or hundreds of millions, if not billions, like Hyperliquid. All he needs to do is talk about this once, and it will 10x within the minute that he talks about it, right? And potentially 100x within the week, 1000x within the season, right? That's all possible. It may not happen, but this was created by Alex Becker himself, and it's very likely it could happen. Particularly because he has said he is not going to launch any more streaming coins. This is going to be the only streaming coin he brings out. So you can't really, you can't really but speculate on this, in my opinion, anyway. You know, because if you put 100 in, you've lost 100. So what? If nothing ever happens, if this goes to zero, which I can't imagine. I am very surprised that something associated with the second biggest YouTuber in cryptocurrency is 653k. This is less than Suppoman token. And we're talking about Alex Becker here. I mean, he has got over 10 times more subscribers than I have, right? So I tell you, he would absolutely make this go nuclear. If he mentions it once, it's gone, right? And that is it. Yeah, so that's why, to me, it's a screaming buy, and was very much so a screaming buy just 3 days ago when this was 340k, which is when I bought more. Because I thought, why not? At the end of the day, a lot of cryptos that I buy, they die, But crypto isn't about always winning. It's about setting yourself up in a position to win. And sometimes you lose, and sometimes you win big. You only need one big winner. So you've got to branch your net out and try and capture a winner. And I've caught many big fish. Right? Big, scrumptious, salivating fish. Right? And this one could be one of them. And then lastly, this one is a mega shock. Right? So literally, literally a month ago, this was 10 million market cap. And now it is 500,000. Now, I've looked into this project and was thinking, oh, you know, has the main founder or the main community behind this sold? And maybe there was a bit of selling. But there's nothing to explain this dramatic fall. So to me, this is just an anomaly. You know, this is something that has the potential to really explode back up to where it was in a very short space of time. And the reason why I like LOLcoin is because this is a narrative. This is a story. And what I can tell you, having been in crypto a long time, is that stories sell. All right? People like to be part of something. They like to be part of something significant. And LOLcoin, aptly named for the period that it was created, which was 2011, this is an original meme coin. This was established in 2011. Dogecoin, the original meme coin, was established in December 2013. This predates it by over 2 years. This was the first thought up meme coin. That is a story that sells. And this is me being very unselly about it. You know, I am not even hyping this up right now, right? There's probably 30 points I could make about LOLcoin, right? But I'm only making one at this point. And, you know, it's a mascot coin. Its origins are like LOL. Like, this is even still used today. I mean, it was probably much more widely used back in the past. But it's a name of its time. It reflects being an original meme coin. And I think that, you know, given what happened with Dogecoin being the original meme coin, going up to 100 billion. Now, that was down to a special set of circumstances which kind of coagulated at once. This has the potential not to go necessarily to that higher market cap, but from where it is right now, a significant multiplier. And like I said, you only need one big multiplier. You know, you put... all right, let's just be frank, right? You put 3,000 into something, if it 10x is 30,000. If it 100x's, it's 300,000. And if it goes nowhere, you've lost 3 grand. I think that from here, this is really a bottom, because that's the price I got in at. Look, this is going back to a price back in June. Like, we have had many buyers along this trajectory. If you never got into it, you are buying basically where I bought. Maybe a little bit higher, but not much higher. And certainly yesterday, it was lower than when I bought, I think. Yeah, yesterday, look at that. 340k. And I was going to buy more. I should have bought more. But, you know, I believe that this one has got the story that sells. I've seen lots of YouTubers talking about such and such meme coin, such and such meme coin. And I just think to myself, this is drivel. This is crap. You know, it's just some character meme. Who gives a shit, honestly? Right? You need a sticky story. You need something that's significant. And that's what LOLcoin is to me. So, for now, these are certainly meme coins I think are fantastic buys. You know, but, I mean, there are more. There are more. You know, in my personal opinion, you know, I believe that we have not yet seen the biggest uptrend in this bull market. We have seen some good ones. Best one probably being the one that we saw in February, March 2024. That was magnificent. Yeah, that was insane. I actually have never made so much money in such a short period of time as I did in these just 2 months. In these 2 months. In these 2 months, I actually made the equivalent of about 3 years in cryptocurrency in 2 months. And all you need is this to happen again. And it will happen at some point. We haven't had any kind of move like that this year. The highest has been a 14% month for Bitcoin. That's not that incredible. to be honest, right? You know, not compared to what we've seen in the past. But you just have to wait. You just have to wait. And what you can, you know, what's been good about this whole exercise and my whole pivot into meme coins is that it's been working. It's been working. Like, the amount of people who are big YouTubers who've been talking about Chainlink and Render and Fetch and Hyperliquid have really had their asses burnt. They have made no gains in this past year. Nothing. They've hardly gone up at all. You know, I've been winning. If you've been watching me, you've been winning. You know, this has been a winning atmosphere, despite the fact it's not even been that bullish, right? But all we need is this. And again, you know, those guys, the bigger YouTubers that concentrate on the, you know, larger coins, they're gonna make good gains, you know, at some point. But they're gonna be completely minuscule in comparison to those who are playing the meme coin game, but only because meme coins have, in my opinion anyway, the greatest upside, the greatest acceleration to upside. Like, I spoke about Pixie a few weeks ago, and that 14x'd inside 3 hours. 14x'd. You will never see that with Chainlink. You will never see that with Render, Ondo, etc. You will never see that across a whole lifetime of an alt season, right? But you could see that in 3 hours in a meme coin, right? And that was one that I wasn't even really serious about. I was just saying, oh, I was just looking at it, to be honest. So that's just giving you an indication that once we do see the violent side of the market, that, you know, that these kind of 30% plus months, these are going to be where the life-changing gains are made. And we haven't had one of those since last year, since February last year. And I think that's what's going to be coming. Because even if we do have an ebbing and flowing, there are going to be times where we have a heavily down month, and there's going to be times where we're going to have a heavily up month. So whether there's going to be the violent euphoria alt season, you know, the one-off before recession that we believe is going to be happening, you know, and culminating probably in early 2026, whether that happens or not, there's going to be ebbing and flowing, right? You know, this whole monthly returns is just a pure system of ebbing and flowing. You know, you just have to be in the right assets at the right time, and that's all it really comes down to. Right, okay, now let me take some questiones before I make like a tree and sod off, basically. Pixie is down below 100k. Yeah, well, I mean, that whole Bitcoin narrative's dead anyway. Bear with me 1 second. Disco at 2 million is a goodbye. I won't say anything. It's not my play, and it's not for me to say anything. You know, I'll leave you quite nicely in Win All Day's hands. So I'll leave it to him to tell you. I don't know anything about it. Dowge. Super, what are your thoughts on Magic? That's a good one. That's a good question, actually. So my thoughts on Magic, I will give them to you live because I haven't properly looked at Magic, you know, since they have rebranded. So this is the new look of Magic. So Magic was my cat and my beloved cat as well. And yeah, and this is a meme coin about him. So similar to like Waffles, which is Da Vinci's cat, and that went to a mega market cap. And this, at this point, is 182k. So let's have a look at it in real time. So this is what the website looks like now. Click your eyes to let magic happen. Right, so let's do that. So this is the new Magic token. And look at it. I think that the branding is excellent. It's a complete departure from where it was. You know, it's just the CTO has basically taken this and turned it into a real cat meme. You know, trying to be, yeah, basically like just, it's like, you know, with Hemule and Toshi, you know, they are founders' cats. You know, and they have done explosively well. So influencer or founder or crypto people, cats, they do well. You know, Waffles is a perfect example. Waffles is nowhere now. So Magic the Cat is a crypto, I suppose, influencer's cat, right? And it's got me there. Look at that. It's got the story there too. So anybody coming in, this didn't exist in the other website. You know, the other one was more just a cat meme coin mascot, whereas this is more a story. Obviously, still cat meme coin mascot, but it's got the actual story. And they're making more of a brand around Magic. And there's a picture of me with Magic taken back in 2014. So there we are. You know, I think that this is a lovely looking website. Really, really well created, well designed. Lots of nice pickies of Magic. So, yeah, I think this is beautiful. I think this is fantastic. Yeah, fantastic look. And 100, oh, it's just pumped up. 238k market cap, and I still hold pretty much all my Magic. I never sold Magic. So yeah, so there we are. I think it looks great. I think it looks fantastic, to be honest. IMB and Babel. I looked at Babel. What is IMB? Chechnya. There is no IMB. So, don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Do you think Guncoin can pull off? Yeah, I do think that can happen. But the reason Axie Infinity pulled off those insane multipliers was purely because there was a gaming and metaverse season. There we are, guns. And that's all that's needed for this to explode to the gazillions, TBH. So, yeah, I mean, at this market cap, I mean, it's really just screaming to be bought. I don't think I ever foresaw that guns would come down to a market cap of this level. I really didn't think it would ever happen. And actually, it went down to 1.7 cents. Anything else? Not really. Asta, the $19 billion liquidation. Link up 11%. Wow. I mean, I'm a big Link holder, but I couldn't care less about that. I mean, that to me is pretty sucky gains, to be honest. By the way, smash the like, people. 94 likes is not bad, but would prefer more. Think about Millennial. That's okay. Meme. What the fuck games as well is also good. Like them. But you know, memes. What the fuck will only do well. Yeah, once when games comes. I mean, that can do extremely well. Elon Musk loves Pandus. Yeah, I did see that. Oh, IMF. I've seen that crap coin. I don't know why any idiot with any respect would buy it, but there we are. Right, that's it, people. I think that is it. I am going to do my usual, which is be a father now to my son, and I shall see you of the next time. But what I will say to you is that blood comes and goes, you know, and we'll have the times when the cash is just flying out of our ears. Okay? The story of the 7 fat cows. All right? You have got to make sure that when you do have profitable times, is that you make sure you take your gains so that it sustains you in the period of famine. Okay? The 7 fat cows is about, you know, making sure that you are full up for when there's no food. Okay? Because there will come that time. And it's just ebbs and flows. You know, 1 minute it's bad, next minute it's good, next minute it's bad. But you need to have money to play in the game. Till next time, people, I've been the Superman. You have been amazing. Perk up. It's awesome in the crypto market. Always. I'm the Superman. You've been amazing. It's lights out. All out.